So many different things are going on in a 3/4 page opinion by the United States Supreme Court that looks on its surface to be about Kilmer Armando Abrego Garcia and whether he's going to continue to rot in El Salvador, or if the Trump administration is going to be required by some judge somewhere to facilitate his return or not. But when you go into the nitty gritty molecular level DNA of these 3/4 of a page and you distill it all, there's some shockers in there. And I'm going to describe them to you right here. Only way I know how, telling the truth, on MeidasTouch. All right, let's get into it. First of all, let's do it by the numbers. This looks to be a 9-0 decision in favor of Armando Abrego Garcia, who was illegally, as admitted by the Trump administration, as confessed by them, illegally deported over an order of an immigration judge of protection that required that he stay in the country and not be sent back to certain death or violent attack in El Salvador. Everybody admits that. One shocker of the decision is that there is, as recited by the majority, by the 9-0, a confession by the Trump administration that they knew about Armando Abrego's order of protection and they deported him anyway. And as we said before, and I said it in my prior analysis a couple of weeks ago, that could end up being the death knell for the Trump administration. I think it is. It's in the first 3 lines of the decision I'm going to read to you in a minute. That's one. Another shocker. They affirm and empower a lower court judge who's been mercilessly attacked by the Trump administration and say that on balance, she was right. Judge Paula Zinnes, who has been attacked by the Trump administration for issuing her original order back on April 4th, that the Trump administration committed an illegal act and must facilitate and effectuate the return of Abrego Garcia by last Monday at midnight. Now, that didn't happen because of an administrative stay. But in this shocker of an order, all 9, and that means the MAGA right, have reaffirmed the power and the jurisdiction of this judge, a judge who is called a leftist, a Marxist, an out-of-control, rogue, left-wing judge that should be ignored with the Trump administration thumbing their nose at her. No, the Supreme Court says she was right. There was one odd choice of words. They loved the word facilitate his return that they wrote. They didn't like the word effectuate the return. Facilitate, effectuate. I'm gonna go over the differences in a moment. Here's another shocker. Not one judge, not one justice, and certainly not the 9, not the majority, not who wrote the opinion, is ordering the return of Armando Garcia into the United States. They're not ordering the return. They're empowering the federal judge who ordered that the U.S. facilitate and effectuate, or in this case, facilitate his return. So I want to make sure we get the headline straight, because sometimes they're typed out very quickly. No order of immediate return, but an order requiring the Trump administration to use all of its powers to facilitate his return. Now, here's another shocker. At the end, when I got to the part where Sotomayor, Jackson, and Kagan issued a statement, not a dissent. Another shocker, there's no dissent here. That's how I know it's 9-0. What's the shocker? When I read it, I was like, oh, here we go. They're going to do, we should have done an order. I disagree with the majority. We should have done an order for his return. Doesn't say that. All it is a recitation of the bad facts against the government, which, of course, I appreciate that she put it in there. But then saying, and kind of empowering Judge Zinnes again in Maryland, saying, you better hold the government to its proof and hold their feet to the fire. And that's it. It was more of a finger wagging than it was any real kind of substance. But I appreciate anything Sotomayor writes, and I want to cover that as well. What does it mean? And then I'll read to you from it. It means that the case has been returned to the trial judge where it sits. Her jurisdiction has not been taken away. She gets to conduct further proceedings with the instructions given by the United States Supreme Court. They're okay with facilitate, and they have told the Trump administration, you better be ready to stand and deliver in a court of law before Judge Zinnes and tell her what you've done to facilitate and other steps that could be taken. And if you haven't taken steps to facilitate, you better tell her why and how. to the extent that you can, because you know they're going to argue, oh, foreign affairs and executive privilege and state secrets and whatever else. The only thing that's foreign about this, just to touch on that for a minute, there's no foreign affairs angle to this, except Donald Trump decided to offload and delegate and ship off prisoners and people that were in our immigration process and send them to El Salvador. That was his choice. They make it sound like, oh, he's busy negotiating a major war peace treaty with the El Salvadorans and like Jefferson with the French. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's just the location of the prison that you're using temporarily. You're renting space in El Salvador. That doesn't make it major foreign relations. But there is a line in there that got the Trump administration all excited, and they tried to argue that they won. These two concepts both can't be true. The lawyers for Abrego Garcia rightly read the 3/4 of a paragraph, 3/4 of a page I'm going to read you, and they said the rule of law prevailed. Bring him back now. I agree with all that. The Trump administration read it, saw the one line about, Judge Zinnes, when you get it back, you may not be able to go as far as you thought on the word effectuate. Careful there, you might cross over into foreign relations that are the province of the executive branch. Oh, yes, the Supreme Court has affirmed that we have foreign relation powers that a federal judge can't interfere with, and a rogue. They didn't say any of that. That's twisting completely out of all recognizable shape. One line in this majority opinion. I've already given you the shockers. Let me read to you from it now. This is the Supreme Court of the United States decision issued on Thursday night. On March 15, 2025, the United States removed Kilmer Armando Abrego Garcia from the United States to El Salvador. And then here's the 3 lines that drive the whole decision. The United States acknowledged that Abrego Garcia was subject to a withholding order, that's from an immigration judge, forbidding his removal to El Salvador, and that the removal to El Salvador was therefore illegal. The United States represents that the removal to El Salvador was the result of an administrative error. Done, dead, stick a fork in it. It's what we said was going to happen. Did you know Fast Growing Trees is the biggest online nursery in the U.S. with thousands of different plants and over 2 million happy customers? They have all the plants your yard needs, like fruit trees, privacy trees, flowering trees, shrubs, and so much more. Fast Growing Trees makes it easy to get your dream yard. Order online and get your plants delivered directly to your door in just a few days, without ever leaving home. Their Alive and Thrive guarantee ensures your plants arrive happy and healthy. Plus, get support from trained plant experts on call to help you plan your landscape, choose the right plants, and learn how to care for them. We recently moved into a new house, and it came with 2 big bald spots where grass used to be, but the prior owner's dog wore out. So we turned to Fast Growing Trees, and their plant experts' advice turned an eyesore into one of our favorite features of the yard, with a few key lime trees suited for our climate and location. Saved us all the aggravation of dealing with unknown landscapers and nurseries, too. Big yard, small yard, no yard. Fast Growing Trees has over 6,000 plants to fit any space, from indoor plants to fruit trees to full-size privacy trees and more. And their 14-point quality checklist ensures you're getting the best quality plant possible. Each plant is cared for individually based on their needs, from watering routines to the amount of sunlight, giving your plants the care they deserve from the time they start growing to when they ship to your home. Whether you're looking to add privacy, shade, or natural beauty to your yard, Fast Growing Trees has in-house experts ready to help you make the right selection, with plant experts on call to offer growing and care advice. You can talk to a plant expert about your soil type, landscape design, how to take care of your plants, and everything else you need. No green thumb required. Every plant comes with instructions and tips to take care of your new plants so they can grow to their fullest potential. This spring, they have the best deals for your yard, up to half off on select plants and other deals. And listeners to our show get 15% off their first purchase when using the code LEGALAF at checkout. That's an additional 15% off at fastgrowingtrees.com using the code LEGALAF at checkout. fastgrowingtrees.com, code LEGALAF. Now's the perfect time to plant. Use Legal AF to save today. Offer is valid for a limited time. Terms and conditions may apply. Mr. Ruveni, who worked for the Department of Justice, past tense, admitted as he had to tell the truth in his filings before Judge Zinnes that the government knew about the order preventing his removal and put him on that plane to El Salvador anyway. Or as the lawyers for Abrego Garcia declared in their brief, this is a case of one. There's nobody with these Kafkaesque facts like Abrego Garcia. And that you can see, first 4 lines of the Supreme Court decision. That's driving it. But they continue. They talk about Judge Zinnes' order on April the 4th, directing the government to facilitate and effectuate the return of Abrego Garcia to the United States by last April. What's the difference, Popok? Let me tell you the difference. Let me use an example. Effectuate and facilitate. Okay. Facilitate means using all of your efforts, all your lawful means to try to encourage an event to happen. Somebody to do something, something to happen on the other end that you don't control, but you can promote and facilitate and grease the skids so that the other counterparty does the thing you want them to do or doesn't do the thing you want them to do. Let's use a library as an example. If somebody needed to facilitate taking out a book from the library, okay, you would facilitate it. You'd show up with your library card. You'd call on the librarian. You'd show up at the right time and place. You'd ask for the right book. You'd show them the card of where it's located. If you owed any money or fines that suspended your library privileges, you'd pay them. And now you facilitated checking out a book. What you didn't do is, if all of that failed while the library was closed, you didn't break into the library and take the book off the shelf. That's effectuating the checking out of the library book. That's the difference. So the judge was right, and the Supreme Court supported her, that the Trump administration needs to tell the judge and to do it, all those things necessary to facilitate his return. Make the phone calls, fill out the paperwork, push the buttons, cut off the funding, whatever you need to do to facilitate and get from the other party the conduct that you're looking for. Make the phone call, Trump. Call Bukele. And if you're not going to do it or you can't do it, they're going to need to catalog it to Judge Zinnes. But what they don't have to do is effectuate his return. They don't have to go break into the jail and go get him. And that's the difference. That would cross over into the world of foreign affairs. So here's what they say on the top of page 2. To the extent that the government's emergency application, the rest of the district court's order remains in effect, right? Here's what she wrote in her order, so you know what they are affirming. She says when she granted that relief that's been affirmed now by the Supreme Court, this preliminary relief is issued to restore the status quo and to preserve Abrego Garcia's access to due process in accordance with the Constitution and governing immigration law. That is what the Supreme Court has adopted, that he has constitutional rights that need to be complied with and honored, and they are embracing that. The rest of the district courts remains in effect. Order remains in effect, but requires clarification on remand. We're sending it back to you on remand with instructions. The order properly requires the government to facilitate his release and to ensure that his case is handled as it would have been had it not been improperly sent to El Salvador. That's in accordance with the Constitution part of her order. The intended scope of the term effectuate in the order is unclear and may exceed the district court's authority. The district court should clarify its directive with due regard for the deference owed to the executive branch in the conduct of foreign affairs. For its part, the government should be prepared to share, meaning with the trial judge, what it can, a little weasel word there, concerning the steps it has taken and the prospects of further steps. What have you done to get him back to facilitate? What are you planning to do? If you're not doing it, why aren't you doing it? And that's going to be for the judge as the fact finder to go and figure out. And I don't think it's going to work for Donald Trump to say state secrets privilege or executive privilege or we're not telling you. We don't, because she's now been supercharged by this United States Supreme Court ruling in the way that they've written it. Now, let me just end it this way with Sotomayor. Sotomayor, I was like, oh, here we go. With the other two, they're going to go dissent, no dissent. Just a statement. And here's the statement. The most powerful part of it is her comment that the Trump administration could have been getting him back, but instead have been arguing ridiculous points of law in the courtroom. Here's what she says on page 3. Instead of hastening to correct its egregious error, the government dismissed it as an oversight. The government's argument implies that it could, this is the scary part, could deport and incarcerate any person, including U.S. citizens, without legal consequences, so long as it does so before a court can intervene in the middle of the night. Citing back to the JGG case that they just decided on the Alien Enemies Act. But then she sort of punts. She says, nevertheless, I agree with the court's order that the proper remedy is to provide Abrego Garcia with all the process to which he would have been entitled to had he not been unlawfully removed to El Salvador, including due process of law. And at the end, she wags her finger. In the proceeding on remand, the district court, Judge Zinnes, should continue to ensure that the government lives up to its obligations to follow the law. Wow. Good luck. Good luck. Come back here and follow how Judge Zinnes takes this on remand, what type of hearing she holds, what are the requirements that the Trump administration now has based on this ruling. And you'll now know why I said at the top of the hot take, there's no way this is a win for the Trump administration only by contorting that one sentence about foreign relations. We're going to have a lot of explaining to do in front of Judge Zinnes, and we're going to do it right here on the MeidasTouch Network. So until my next Legal AF podcast, my next Legal AF, the YouTube channel, my next hot take, I'm Michael Popok, and I'm reporting. In collaboration with the MeidasTouch Network, we just launched the Legal AF YouTube channel. Help us build this pro-democracy channel where I'll be curating the top stories, the intersection of law and politics. Go to YouTube now and free subscribe at Legal AF MTN. That's at Legal AF MTN.